What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the new DPS king this season, the Deathbringer with its Callus. In this video we'll be breaking down its DPS numbers and showing off why it is the new DPS king. This season its Callus came out and the way to get it is pretty much from any playlist. I believe I got mine from strikes on my very first strike of the season, and it dropped the Callus, and all you have to do is get kills with a weapon to upgrade it. So I just went into the Shiro Chi checkpoint and Last Wish. Right now my code AIR is 30% off on G Fuel for today and tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's going to be 30% off again this month. So if you want to restock on your favorite flavors or try something new, I definitely recommend doing that today or tomorrow if you want to take advantage of that 30% off. Anyways, let's begin with the video. At this point, I'm pretty sure you guys all know how Deathbringer works. Pretty much you shoot it above the target, it falls down. The further it falls, the more damage it does. But now with the Callus, it will increase how quickly Dark Descent reaches its full potential. So first, if we start off without the Callus on the weapon and see how that works, we shoot a little bit above Carl. As you see, the first one will hit for only 14,000, and it'll scale up, and eventually the last three will be all at the full buff of 22,134. And now the full buff number is yellow, which is pretty nice to know if you're doing full damage. But now we shoot quite a bit above Carl. The first one still doesn't quite hit full damage, but the next three do. But as you see, only 4 of the 7 projectiles actually hit him, so that was kind of like the downside of the Callus before. To get the full damage of Dark Descent, you have to shoot so much above them that pretty much they won't even track the target. As you see, the first shot where we shot just above them was 134,000. Then when we tried to get the max damage buff, we actually lost a lot of damage because 3 of them didn't even track Carl. But now with the Callus, where it will increase how quickly Dark Descent reaches its full potential, if you shoot just barely above Carl like we did before, as you see, the first 2 are close to being max buff and the last 5 are. Then we shoot just a tiny hair higher up, you'll see pretty much all of them will reach the max buff. The first one doesn't, but it's only like 1,000 off. The next 6 all reach the max buff, and most importantly, they all tracked them. So here are the damage numbers we got with those 2 shots, and the bottom number is if you had max damage for all 7 projectiles. So before this Callus, the Deathbringer in theory had some of the best numbers in the entire game for damage per shot, then also DPS and total damage output, but it was near impossible to actually reach its full damage in almost any real situation. But now with the Callus, not only is it extremely easy to hit all 7 shots, it's extremely easy to get pretty much all 7 of them at max damage. And this season we also have rocket launcher loader in the artifact, which will make it only cost 1 energy compared to 5 that normally is, which will help greatly with DPS this season and make it extremely cheap to run that mod. Then another trick you can do with this weapon is while you're holding down the trigger to let it travel further, you can already be reloading. So pretty much you just shoot and hold down the trigger, but you reload instantly. So we do that for the DPS numbers. First, looking at 2 rocket shots, that will take 2.755 seconds. And the way I'm timing this is I stop the timer the second I release the trigger on the last shot, which is pretty much the most realistic way to time the DPS of this weapon. Because the second you release the trigger of the final shot, you can then be swapping to a different weapon, so it's not like considered downtime anymore. Which means the DPS for 2 rockets is 112,000, which is quite a lot. Pretty much the highest in the entire game. Actually, no, it is the highest in the entire game. Then if we do 4 rockets for the more sustained DPS number, doing the same name where we reload right away, that took just under 7 seconds, which means still 90,000 DPS, which is up there with the burst DPS numbers of the other best scenes in the entire game, and that is its sustained DPS number. So just comparing those numbers to some of the other top options in the game, first we can look at Lament, which is one of the best burst DPS weapons in the game. Looking at a full combo on Carl and also a light attack number, as you see right here and right here, the full Lament combo does just under 190,000 damage. Now if we look at the rate of fire, or whatever you want to call it, of one combo, it's going to take 2.3 seconds, which means 81.7 thousand DPS, which is not only lower than the burst of the Deathbringer, but also the sustain of the Deathbringer. Now looking at the sustained DPS of Lament, so 2 combos with light attacks in between, that will take just under 7 seconds, which means DPS falls to 62,000, which is, you know, a good 30,000 lower than the sustain of Deathbringer. Another one I want to throw in just for fun was Xenophage, because this used to be one of the DPS metas, and I haven't really showed it off that much recently. Looking at damage on Carl, 22,197, and now just looking at 1 mag DPS for this weapon, so 13 shots. This will take quite a while at just under 6 seconds, which means the DPS of 1 mag is 48,000, so not even close to the Deathbringer or even the Lament. So really the only weapons that even get close to the DPS numbers of Deathbringer are just other rockets in the game. So most legendaries with a good damage perk, for example Lasting Impression or even Frenzy of Whirlpool, will do in the upper 80s for burst DPS. Then for sustain they'll be in the upper 60s, which are still, you know, 25 to 30,000 lower than that of the Deathbringer. So Deathbringer is the real deal. It is a good chunk above the pack. The only weapon in the game that would have a higher burst DPS would be Fourth Horseman, but that is obviously extreme burst and will run out very quickly. Then for sustained DPS, the only thing would be like Anarchy plus Double Slug, which is obviously 3 weapons compared to 1. And the thing about Deathbringer that makes it even better is its total damage output. With no reserve perks, you hold 7, then with double reserves, it holds 9, which means that Thane has between 1.1 million and 1.4 million total damage output, and anything over 1 million is definitely top tier among the highest in the entire game. So overall, this catalyst took it from a weapon that was in theory among the best in the game and made it actually realistically possible to get those numbers in pretty much any situation. All you have to do is aim just slightly above the target, and maybe the first and second projectile won't be the full buff, but they'll be extremely close to being the full buff, and you'll be really close to getting the max damage of the weapon, which will result in the highest burst, the highest sustained DPS, and among the highest total damage output of any weapon in the entire game. And that is why the Deathbringer with the new catalyst is definitely the DPS king right now. It isn't just slightly better than some other options, it's a good chunk above the entire pack, as we mentioned before, a good 25-30,000 better than everything else. Also, this weapon will be extremely good in a few cool builds this season. I'm still waiting to make a video on Warmind's Decree. I'll probably try to get that out on Tuesday if there's nothing new going on. And as you imagine, the Deathbringer will work pretty well with that, and will be part of a really cool Warlock build I'm working on this season, all based on Void stuff. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The Deathbringer has some of the best DPS numbers for burst and sustain, and among the highest total damage output in the entire game. Pretty much the only thing in the game that could compete with it would be Anarchy plus Double Slug hot swapping, but obviously that's requiring all 3 of your slots, and something you'd only do for very precise boss fights, and not just something you'd use across the entire board like you could with Deathbringer. So yeah, Deathbringer is definitely the real deal, and this gameplay I'm showing off right now is from yesterday before the energy accelerant got disabled, which was doubling the damage of the thing. And yeah, that was ridiculous. I pretty much almost 2-shot a strike boss with no heavyweight, no buff, and no debuff. Yeah, double damage on top of the highest DPS in the game was kind of ridiculous. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.
Kill them. They are dead. You are not. You face final round. A mighty cabal challenges. An old friend is here. Judgment at hand. Cabal strategist.
What's your scam here?